We're hearing from President-elect Donald Trump's team following a new ruling in his New York criminal trial. Judge Juan Merchan has rejected Trump's attempt to have his case thrown out. His attorneys have pointed to the Supreme Court's July decision on presidential immunity, but Merchan says the case concerns entirely unofficial conduct. CBS News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns is now in West Palm Beach, Florida, and joins us live to talk about it. Good to see you, Caitlin.
Hey, Vlad. Well, this was a very interesting case because, as you mentioned, this centers around the question of presidential immunity, which was established by the Supreme Court earlier this year. The Trump team was trying to argue that evidence collected through this involved statements from former White House officials and statements made while Trump was president. But the judge in this case, Merchan, said that it has to do with unofficial acts, that the crime committed here was done while before Trump was president. We're also hearing from the Trump transition team, as you can imagine, criticizing this ruling, and the judge himself saying the sooner these hoaxes end, the sooner our country can unite behind President Trump.
Welcome in, everybody. This is Jack Mockler. A federal judge has issued a sweeping order rejecting Trump's immunity claims, ruling that the charges involve acts done as a private citizen so prosecutions can move forward without delay. The decision is a devastating legal blow that dismantles Trump's primary defense, and that is only the beginning. On top of rejecting the immunity defense, the judge also rejected every single attempt Trump made to suppress evidence. All of them. Every one. The recordings of Trump allegedly discussing crimes. All those damning memos written by White House officials documenting what Trump was doing. All the testimony from people who worked directly with him and know exactly what really happened. All of it can be used in court. All of it is coming out. All of it will be presented to juries. Trump cannot hide any of it anymore. The judge set an aggressive timeline for everything. Trump cannot stall anymore.
For the betterment of all Americans. Now, you may remember, Vlad, that sentencing in this case was postponed till after the election so as to not interfere with the election. And then it has been asked by the prosecutors to postpone it until essentially Trump's term ends. Of course, there's longstanding Justice Department policy not to prosecute a sitting president, which is why those federal cases have concluded. But in this case, this sentencing would be deferred till after Trump's term ends. And basically, the judge in this case said that he didn't want to throw it out entirely because of what that could mean for the justice system.
All right, Caitlin, let me ask you about this press conference the president-elect held yesterday. It was his first one since winning the election, and you specifically asked him a question about vaccines. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, Vlad, his pick for HHS director, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has come under scrutiny. He is, of course, on Capitol Hill this week.
He cannot drag this out until after elections, hoping people forget. He cannot file endless motions, hoping to run out the clock. The courts are forcing him to face justice right now. This year, this moment. Trump is absolutely terrified. He is losing his mind about this because this order does not just apply to one case. The legal reasoning applies to all of his cases simultaneously. Let me be absolutely clear about what that means. The classified documents case, the financial fraud case, the obstruction case, the Georgia case, the election interference case, every single case Trump is facing. This one ruling just demolished every defense he has been relying on, every escape route he has been counting on, everything he has been betting on in court, all gone. That is devastating. That is catastrophic. And that is not even the worst part for Trump. The worst part is what is happening inside the White House right now.
Trying to garner support for senators ahead of his confirmation. And he has come under scrutiny, of course, for his past comments and misinformation that he has said about vaccines. And a particular issue here is his attorney had petitioned the FDA back in 2022 to revoke the polio vaccine. And that had garnered criticism from Mitch McConnell, the Republican senator who, as you know, survived polio as a child. And so in a statement a couple of days ago, he warned Kennedy about associating with someone like this and said that those views are dangerous. So I specifically asked the president-elect what he wants Kennedy to do when it comes to vaccines. Take a listen.
Do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccines?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks. We're going to find out a lot. Nothing's going to happen very quickly. You're not going to lose the polio vaccine. That's not going to happen.
This very moment, the building is imploding. The organization is falling apart. Staffers are panicking. Senior aides are scrambling to hire their own lawyers because they have suddenly realized they might be in serious legal jeopardy too. People are talking about resigning. High-profile officials are announcing they are leaving the administration. The White House counsel is issuing formal warnings to staff. The counsel is telling them not to follow any instructions from Trump that would violate this court order. The counsel is basically saying you need to protect yourselves right now. You cannot follow orders if those orders are illegal. You need your own legal representation. You need to think about your own legal exposure. And that is the kind of statement that signals a complete breakdown of trust inside the White House.
So you see him there saying that he wants Kennedy to look into some of this, but he did say that he wants to keep the polio vaccine. And I should mention, too, that when Kennedy arrived on Capitol Hill yesterday to start his meetings with senators, he also said he would like to keep the polio vaccine. Vlad?
I saw that moment with Kennedy shouting that out to reporters yesterday, Caitlin, and it just sort of reminds me of the Senate and its role for advising and consenting, that you see this play out with Supreme Court nominees, right? They get up there and they say, oh, nothing that I said in the public record has anything to do with how I'm going to, decide cases if I should be put on the bench. I hope that in this particular case, because Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as you know, sued to have the polio vaccine taken out of schools in years past. So we'll see how it all breaks down. But I think a lot of people are sort of scratching their heads at this one.
Complete organizational collapse happening in real time. When the White House counsel is warning staff to get their own lawyers, that means people think the president is going to push them to do illegal things. That means people think they are going to be abandoned and hung out to dry. That means the organization is fracturing. The loyalty is breaking down. Trump is watching this happen in real time right in front of his eyes. He is watching his staff desert him. He is watching his own people protect themselves instead of protecting him. He is watching everything collapse. He is watching the organization fall apart. He is completely losing control. And here is the thing that is most terrifying for Trump right now. The judge called out his delay tactics. The judge said Trump has been using bad faith arguments. The judge said Trump has been abusing the court system. The judge said Trump has been trying to use the presidency as a shield against accountability. And the judge said that is over. That stops now. The courts will not allow it anymore. So Trump cannot appeal this to death. He cannot file endless motions. He cannot drag this out for years hoping something changes. The judge is saying we are not going to tolerate that behavior anymore. We are moving forward. We are having trials. We are reaching verdicts. We are moving fast. And that is exactly what Trump does not want. That is his nightmare. Trump's entire legal strategy has been based on delay. Delay, delay, delay. On buying time. On hoping that elections change the political situation. On hoping that voters forget about the charges. On hoping that Congress passes a pardon. On hoping that something breaks his way eventually. But now the courts are saying no more waiting, no more delays, no more games. You are going to face justice right now. You are going to stand trial. You are going to have to defend yourself. And Trump cannot handle that. He is not mentally prepared for that. He is not emotionally equipped for that. He is terrified. And the White House is imploding right now because everyone inside knows what is coming down the road. They know that trials are going to happen very soon. They know that damning evidence is going to come out publicly. They know that their boss is probably going to be convicted. They know that their careers are in jeopardy. They know that they might be implicated in crimes themselves. So they are protecting themselves. They are getting lawyers. They are staying quiet. They are following the law instead of following Trump. And Trump is losing control of his own staff, the staff that is supposed to be loyal to him, the staff that is supposed to follow his orders no matter what. That staff is now following the law instead. That staff is now protecting themselves instead of protecting him. And that is a sign of complete organizational collapse. That is what happens when an organization has a leader who is facing serious legal jeopardy. People abandon ship. People protect themselves. People start thinking about their own futures instead of the leader's future. Let me break down exactly what this court order does and why it is so devastatingly bad for Trump. Because this is not just some legal technicality that only matters to lawyers and court nerds. This is a fundamental ruling about Trump's personal liability for his actions. This is about accountability. The judge ruled that Trump cannot claim immunity for the acts he is charged with. Cannot claim it. The judge said those specific acts were done as a private citizen or as a political candidate, not as a president in his official capacity. And that distinction is absolutely crucial. That is the whole ballgame. Because if those acts were done in his official capacity as president, then he might have immunity. Presidential immunity could apply. But if they were done as a private citizen or as a candidate running for office, then there is no immunity. There is no protection. He can be prosecuted. He can be tried in court. He can be convicted by a jury. And the judge looked at the specific acts Trump is charged with and said they were political acts. They were private acts. They were not official presidential acts. So there is no immunity protection available to Trump. There is no shield. Think about what that means for Trump's situation. Trump has been relying on an immunity defense across multiple cases. He has been betting his entire legal strategy on that defense working. And this judge just said that defense does not work. It does not apply to these charges. It does not apply at all. So Trump cannot use that escape route anymore. That option is closed off. That defense is dead. And then the judge went even further. The judge said Trump's attempts to suppress evidence are all denied. Every single one of them. All the recordings of Trump allegedly discussing crimes and illegal activities. All the memos written by people in the White House about what Trump was doing and what orders he gave. All the testimony from former officials and staff members who work directly with Trump and know what he actually did. All of that evidence can be used in court. It cannot be suppressed. It cannot be hidden away. It cannot be kept secret. It is all going to come out. It is all going to be presented to juries. And that is absolutely devastating for Trump because evidence is what convicts people. Evidence is what juries see and hear. Evidence is what proves guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And if all the damaging evidence comes out, if juries hear Trump's own recorded words discussing crimes, if juries read his own written communications and memos, if juries listen to testimony from people who were actually in the room with Trump, then Trump is going to have a very hard time defending himself in court. He is going to have a hard time persuading a jury of his innocence. The evidence is going to be overwhelming. The case against him is going to be incredibly strong. And juries are going to be able to see exactly what Trump did. They are going to see his state of mind. They are going to see his intent. They are going to see whether he knew his actions were illegal. The judge also set an aggressive timeline for the trials. The judge said no more delays, no more waiting. The trials are going to happen soon, this year. The judge is not going to allow Trump's team to file endless motions. The judge is not going to allow endless appeals and delays. The judge is moving forward with the cases. The trials are happening. The verdicts are coming. And that means Trump does not have years to wait around. Trump does not have time to hope that elections change the political situation. Trump does not have time to wait for Congress to do something. Trump does not have time to hope that something breaks his way. Trump has to face justice right now, immediately, soon. And that is exactly what Trump has been trying to avoid this whole time. Trump's whole strategy has been to delay everything, to buy time, to make everything take as long as possible, to drag things out. And now a judge is saying that strategy does not work anymore. We are moving forward. We are having trials. We are reaching verdicts. We are not delaying anymore. And Trump cannot stop that. Trump cannot prevent that. The judge has made that clear. The judge called out Trump's entire approach to litigation and legal defense. The judge said Trump has been using bad faith arguments in court. The judge said Trump has been abusing the court system. The judge said Trump has been trying to use the presidency as a shield against accountability. The judge said Trump has been filing frivolous motions. The judge said the courts are not going to tolerate that behavior anymore. And that is crucial because it signals to judges across the entire legal system that they should view Trump's arguments with skepticism going forward. When Trump tries to make an argument in court, when Trump's lawyers argue something, judges are going to remember this ruling. Judges are going to remember the judge who called out Trump's bad faith tactics. Judges are going to be more skeptical of Trump's arguments. Judges are going to be less patient with delay tactics. And that is going to make it harder for Trump to win cases. It is going to make it harder for Trump to delay things. It is going to make it harder for Trump to appeal. It is going to make it easier for prosecutors to move forward. It is going to make convictions more likely. And then there is the White House chaos that is happening right now because this ruling affects not just Trump, but everyone around him. Everyone who worked in the White House. Everyone who helped Trump do the things he is charged with. Everyone who followed Trump's orders. All of those people could potentially be implicated. All of those people could potentially be charged with crimes themselves. All of those people could potentially face prosecution. So they need lawyers. They need to protect themselves. They need to understand their legal exposure. They need to know whether they could go to prison. And that is why you are seeing White House staff scrambling to hire attorneys right now. That is why you are seeing people worried about their own legal situation. That is why you are seeing the White House counsel warning people to be careful, because everyone inside the White House knows that this ruling changes everything. Everything. The game has changed. The rules are different now. The fact that the White House counsel is warning staff not to follow orders that would violate the court order is a huge deal. That is massive. That is a sign that the counsel believes Trump might push staff to do illegal things. That is a sign that the counsel is trying to protect staff from legal liability. That is a sign that the organization is fracturing at the top. When the top lawyer in an organization is warning people to protect themselves, when the counsel is warning people to get their own lawyers, that is a sign of serious organizational problems. That is a sign that the organization is in crisis. That is a sign that people are losing trust in the leadership. Trump is watching this happen. Trump is watching his own counsel warn his own staff to protect themselves. Trump is watching his organization fall apart. Trump is watching people abandon him and prepare for the worst. And that is terrifying for Trump. That is showing him that his people do not believe in him, that his people think he is going to be convicted, that his people think they need to save themselves. The legal reasoning applies to multiple cases. This is not just about one prosecution. This is not just about one trial. This is about all of Trump's legal problems. All of them. The ruling about immunity applies to the classified documents case. It applies to the Georgia case. It applies to the obstruction case. It applies to all of the cases where Trump is claiming immunity. And that means this one ruling just undermined Trump's defenses across the entire legal landscape. Trump cannot hide behind immunity in any of his cases. Trump's defenses are collapsing across the board. And that is devastating because it means Trump is facing multiple prosecutions simultaneously, multiple trials, multiple juries, multiple opportunities to be convicted, and he cannot stop any of them. He cannot delay any of them. The courts are moving forward with all of them, all of the cases at once. The evidence rules matter across all the cases too. The ruling that allows evidence to come out applies to all the cases. So all the recordings come out in every case. All the memos come out in every case. All the testimony comes out in every case. And that means juries in all the cases are going to see all the damaging evidence. Juries in all the cases are going to understand exactly what Trump did. Juries in all the cases are going to have a very hard time finding him not guilty. That is why this ruling is so devastating. It does not just affect one case, it affects all of them at once. Let me break down the implications of this ruling. The death of Trump's immunity defense is the most significant element. Trump has been relying on this defense since the very moment he was indicted. Trump has been saying he is immune because he was president. Trump has been saying he cannot be prosecuted because of presidential immunity protection. That has been his whole argument, his main defense. And now a judge has said that defense does not work. That defense is dead. That immunity claim does not apply to the acts Trump is charged with. The immunity argument is finished. This ruling is going to be cited by judges in other cases. Other judges are going to use this reasoning to reject Trump's immunity claims in their cases too. So Trump cannot use the immunity defense anymore. Trump cannot rely on that argument. Trump is facing prosecution without that shield. Trump is facing prosecution without that protection. And that is a fundamental change in Trump's legal situation. That changes everything about his legal landscape. The evidence that is going to come out is equally devastating. Trump has been trying to suppress evidence this whole time. Trump has been trying to keep recordings hidden from juries. Trump has been trying to keep memos secret. Trump has been trying to prevent testimony from people who know what he did. And now a judge has said all of that evidence comes in. All of it. The recordings come in. The memos come in. The testimony comes in. Everything. That means juries are going to hear Trump's own words. Juries are going to read his own written communications. Juries are going to hear from people who were in the room with Trump and know what happened. And that evidence is going to be devastating for Trump. That evidence is going to prove guilt. That evidence is going to make conviction likely. Trump cannot stop that evidence from coming in. Trump cannot suppress it. Trump cannot hide it. It is all coming out. It is going to be presented to juries. There is nothing Trump can do about it. The timeline is another critical factor. Trump cannot stall anymore. Trump cannot delay. Trump cannot appeal forever and tie things up in court for years. Judges are moving cases forward aggressively. Trials are happening soon. Verdicts are coming. Trump does not have years to wait. Trump does not have time to hope that elections change things. Trump does not have time to wait for some political intervention. Trump has to face justice right now. This year. Soon. Very soon. That is exactly what Trump does not want. That is exactly what Trump has been trying to avoid. Trump wanted to delay until after the elections. Trump wanted to drag this out for years. But judges are forcing him to face justice quickly. Judges are not tolerating delay tactics anymore. Judges are making it clear that the trials are going to happen soon. That is changing Trump's entire legal landscape. That is changing everything for him. The White House implosion happening right now is perhaps the most visible evidence of how serious this situation has become. Staff are hiring lawyers. People are protecting themselves. The counsel is warning people to follow the law instead of following Trump. The organization is fracturing. The organization is falling apart. People inside the White House are losing trust in Trump. People inside the White House are recognizing that Trump might be pushing them to do illegal things. People inside the White House are protecting themselves instead of protecting Trump. That is a sign of serious organizational crisis. That is what happens when people believe their boss is committing crimes and might take them down with him. People protect themselves. People get lawyers. People distance themselves from the boss. That is what is happening inside the White House right now. Trump is watching it happen. Trump is watching his organization collapse. Trump is watching people abandon him. That is terrifying for him. This moment matters because it means Trump is actually going to face justice. Trump is actually going to stand trial. Trump is actually going to have a jury determine his guilt or innocence. That is not something that was guaranteed before. That is not something Trump expected would happen. Trump has been able to delay things. Trump has been able to appeal. Trump has been able to tie things up in court. But now judges are saying, that is over. We are having trials. We are moving forward. We are not delaying anymore. That changes everything. If Trump stands trial, if jurors see the evidence, if jurors hear the testimony, Trump could be convicted. Trump could go to prison. Trump's life could change fundamentally. Trump's presidency could end. That is why Trump is terrified. That is why he is scared. That is why the White House is imploding. This matters for the country because it means nobody is above the law. Nobody. It means the president cannot hide behind the presidency to avoid prosecution. It means even the most powerful person in the country has to face justice if they commit crimes. That is a fundamental principle of democracy. That is a fundamental principle of the rule of law. This ruling affirms that principle completely. This ruling says the president is not immune from prosecution. The president can be tried like anyone else. The president can be convicted. The president can go to prison. That is important for everyone in the country. That is important for the integrity of the legal system. That is important for making sure that nobody is above the law, that nobody can abuse power without consequences. What happens next? Trump's legal team is probably going to try to appeal this ruling. They are going to try to get a higher court to overturn it. They are going to try to get the Supreme Court involved, but appeals take time, and this judge has said no more delays. So even while Trump is appealing, the trials could move forward, evidence could come out, juries could reach verdicts, and by the time appeals are decided, Trump might already be convicted. Trump might already be facing prison time. Trump might already be dealing with the consequences of his actions. That is what is terrifying for Trump. That is why he is scared. That is why the White House is imploding. Inside the White House, staffers are going to continue protecting themselves. They are going to continue getting lawyers. They are going to continue following the law instead of following Trump. They are going to continue distancing themselves from Trump. They are going to continue being careful not to violate this court order. Trump is going to lose the loyalty of his staff. Trump is going to lose the trust of his organization. Trump is going to be increasingly isolated. That is going to make it harder for Trump to govern. That is going to make it harder for Trump to get things done. That is going to further weaken his presidency. That is going to further undermine his authority. This is the moment when Trump's legal problems start to directly affect his ability to govern. This is the moment when his organization starts to fall apart. This is the moment when people start abandoning him. This is the moment when the White House implodes. So buckle up because things are about to get real. Trump is going to be facing trials. Trump is going to be seeing damaging evidence. Trump is going to be dealing with a White House that is falling apart. Trump is going to be isolated and scared. The question is whether Trump can survive this moment, whether Trump can maintain power while facing multiple prosecutions, whether Trump can govern while his organization is imploding. We are about to find out.